What if I told you one African nation just found enough gold to rival the wealth of entire continents? Uganda just struck $12 trillion in gold, and the world is panicking. Stay tuned. This changes everything. Uganda has unearthed $12 trillion worth of gold, transforming into arguably the richest country on Earth overnight. This unprecedented discovery is not only shaking global financial markets but also challenging decades of resource control by Western powers. In this video, you'll discover how and where this gold was found, implications for Uganda's economy and its rise in global influence, why this discovery threatens Western dominance, potential new alliances across Africa and worldwide, how this reshapes the narrative for African empowerment. From economic independence to geopolitical strategy, this video dives deep into Uganda's game-changing move and why the West is starting to panic. Don't miss. Is Uganda about to dethrone other major powers in the global gold race? How will this hit global markets? Uganda's $12 trillion gold discovery. A comprehensive analysis how and where the gold was found, exploration and discovery process. The discovery of an estimated 31 million metric tons of gold ore, containing approximately 320,000 tons of refined gold, was announced by Uganda's Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development in June 2022. This followed a multi-year geological survey initiated to map the country's mineral potential. The process involved aerial surveys, high-resolution airborne geophysical surveys, including magnetic and radiometric mapping, identified anomalies indicative of gold deposits. Ground-based exploration, drilling and sampling confirmed the presence of gold ore, with assays revealing high-grade deposits in multiple regions. Technological partnerships. Uganda collaborated with international firms, including Chinese and Australian companies, to employ advanced exploration technologies, such as 3D seismic imaging, to pinpoint deposits. The scale of the find, valued at over $12 trillion based on 2022 gold prices, approximately $1,800 per ounce, positions it as one of the largest untapped gold reserves globally. The announcement by President Yoweri Museveni during his State of the Nation address underscored its significance, with initial estimates suggesting the deposits could yield 500,000 barrels of refined gold annually if fully operationalized. The gold deposits span multiple regions, with the largest concentrations in Karamoja region, northeastern Uganda. This semi-arid region, home to 1.2 million people, hosts the bulk of the deposits. Karamoja's geology, characterized by ancient volcanic rocks and greenstone belts, is conducive to gold mineralization. Small-scale artisanal mining has long been a livelihood here, but the scale of commercial deposits was only recently confirmed. Bweju district, western Uganda known for alluvial gold, this area has seen increased exploration, with deposits found in riverbeds and sedimentary layers. Mubende district, central western Uganda. This region contains both hard rock and alluvial gold, with significant potential for large-scale mining. Namaingo district, southeastern Uganda. Proximity to Lake Victoria has facilitated alluvial gold discoveries, though on a smaller scale. Zombo district, northwestern Uganda. Emerging as a new frontier, this area has shown promising results in recent surveys. The widespread distribution of deposits suggests Uganda's gold potential extends beyond Karamoja, potentially transforming multiple regions into economic hubs. Mining operations and challenges. The Ugandan government has prioritized formalizing the mining sector, which has historically been dominated by artisanal and small-scale mining, ASM. Key developments include foreign investment. The Chinese company Wagagai Mining, Uganda, Limited, a subsidiary of China's Shandong Gold Group, secured a 21-year lease to develop a gold mine in Karamoja. The company has invested $200 million in a refinery and plans to produce 5,000 kilograms of gold annually by 2026. Government initiatives. The Uganda Free Zone Authority, UFZA, offers tax exemptions and streamlined regulations to attract investors. The government is also revising the Mining and Minerals Act to ensure greater state control over resource extraction. Artisanal mining integration. Over 200,000 artisanal miners operate in Uganda, many in hazardous conditions. The government aims to formalize ASM through cooperatives, providing training and equipment to improve safety and efficiency. Challenges include environmental risks. Gold mining, particularly in Karamoja's fragile ecosystem, risks deforestation, water contamination, and soil degradation. Mercury use in artisanal mining poses health hazards. Displacement. Large-scale mining may displace local communities, particularly in Karamoja, where land tenure is communal and disputes are common. Infrastructure gaps. Poor road networks and limited electricity in remote regions hinder large-scale operations. Implications for Uganda's economy and global influence. Economic transformation. Uganda's economy, with a GDP of approximately $48 billion in 2024, is poised for a seismic shift. The gold discovery could generate revenues exceeding the country's current GDP many times over. Key economic implications include export revenue. In March 2025, Uganda's export earnings surged by 40%, with gold overtaking coffee as the top export, contributing $1.2 billion annually. If fully exploited, the gold deposits could generate $500 billion annually at current prices, assuming a production rate of 10% of the estimated reserves. Foreign exchange reserves. The government's plan to purchase gold from artisanal miners to bolster reserves could stabilize the Ugandan shilling and reduce reliance on imports, which currently account for 20% of GDP. Fiscal space. Increased revenues could reduce Uganda's external debt burden, approximately $20 billion in 2024, and fund infrastructure, education, and healthcare. For example, rehabilitating Karamoja's road network could cost $500 million, a fraction of potential gold revenues. Industrialization. Gold wealth could finance downstream industries, such as jewelry manufacturing and refining, creating value-added products and jobs. Global influence. The discovery elevates Uganda's status in global commodity markets. Gold market impact. With global gold production at 3,000 tons annually, Uganda's potential output could significantly increase supply, potentially lowering prices by 5 to 10%, according to analysts. This could disrupt markets dominated by China, 370 tons/year, Russia, 330 tons/year, and Australia, 320 tons/year. Geopolitical leverage. As a major gold producer, Uganda could influence trade negotiations within the African Union, AU, and global forums like the World Trade Organization, WTO. Its strategic location in East Africa enhances its role as a regional hub. Investment attraction. The discovery has drawn interest from investors in China, Russia, and the Middle East, diversifying Uganda's economic partnerships beyond traditional Western allies. Risks of the resource curse. The resource curse looms large, as seen in countries like Venezuela, where oil wealth fueled corruption and economic collapse. To mitigate this, transparency. Uganda must adopt the Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative, EITI, to ensure accountability in revenue management. Diversification. Investing in agriculture and technology can prevent over-reliance on gold. Local benefits. Revenue-sharing mechanisms, like those in Botswana's diamond industry, could ensure communities in Karamoja benefit directly. Why this discovery threatens Western dominance. Disruption of gold markets. Western economies, particularly the US and EU, rely on gold as a hedge against inflation and currency volatility. Uganda's entry as a major producer could depress prices. Increased supply could lower gold prices, reducing the value of Western gold reserves, e.g., the US holds 8,133 tons, valued at $500 billion in 2025. Shift market control. Non-Western producers like Uganda, China, and Russia could collectively dominate the market, reducing Western influence over pricing and trade. Challenge to the US dollar. The US dollar's global dominance is tied to its use in commodity trading, including gold. Uganda's move to build gold-backed reserves aligns with efforts by BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, to reduce dollar dependence. For example, gold-backed transactions. Uganda could adopt gold-based trade with partners like China, bypassing dollar-dominated systems like SWIFT. Cryptocurrency trends. Russia and China's exploration of blockchain-based currencies could inspire Uganda to develop alternative financial systems, further eroding dollar hegemony. Geopolitical realignment. Western influence in Africa has historically relied on economic leverage through institutions like the IMF and World Bank, which impose austerity measures on loan recipients. Uganda's gold wealth could reduce dependency, with potential revenues dwarfing current IMF loans, $1 billion in 2024, Uganda could negotiate better terms or bypass Western institutions entirely. Non-Western alliances. China's $60 billion investment in African infrastructure, 2013 to 2023, and Russia's military partnerships in the Sahel signal a shift toward non-Western powers. Uganda's gold makes it a prime candidate for such alliances, threatening Western geopolitical dominance. Regional power dynamics. The discovery could embolden Uganda to challenge regional powers like Kenya and Ethiopia, traditionally Western-aligned, for influence in the East African Community, EAC. This could strain relations with Western-backed institutions like ECOWAS, as seen in the Sahel states' rejection of French influence. Potential new alliances across Africa and worldwide African alliances. The gold discovery positions Uganda as a leader in Africa's push for economic sovereignty. Alliance of Sahel states, AES Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso, having exited ECOWAS, are forming a confederation to counter Western influence. Uganda could share mining expertise and join AES-led initiatives, such as trade through Morocco's Atlantic ports. East African Community, EAC Uganda could lead EAC efforts to create a regional gold trading hub, reducing reliance on European refineries. This aligns with the African Continental Free Trade Area, AFCFTA, which aims to boost intra-African trade to 30% by 2030. Southern Africa. Partnerships with gold-producing nations like South Africa and Ghana could foster knowledge exchange and joint ventures, strengthening Africa's collective bargaining power. Global alliances. The discovery has attracted global interest, reshaping Uganda's international relations. China. Beyond Wagagai's investments, China's Belt and Road Initiative could fund infrastructure to support Uganda's mining sector, such as a $2 billion railway linking Karamoja to Mombasa. President Museveni's call for greater market access for African goods at the 2024 China-Africa Summit signals deepening ties. Russia's Wagner Group and other firms have provided security for mining operations in the Central African Republic. Similar arrangements in Uganda could bolster Russian influence, particularly if tensions with the West escalate. Middle East. Countries like the UAE, a major gold trading hub, could invest in Uganda's refining capacity, with Dubai's DMCC already expressing interest in African gold markets. Global South. Uganda could join BRICS-led initiatives to create alternative financial systems, such as a gold-backed currency proposed by Russia in 2024. Trade and infrastructure. Morocco's Atlantic ports, endorsed by the AES, offer Uganda an alternative to Western-controlled trade routes like the Suez Canal. Partnerships with Morocco could include port access, using Dakhla Atlantic Port for gold exports, reducing reliance on Mombasa or Dar es Salaam. Infrastructure investments. Morocco's expertise in renewable energy could support Uganda's mining operations, addressing Karamoja's electricity shortages. How this reshapes the narrative for African empowerment. Economic sovereignty. The gold discovery empowers Uganda to challenge the historical narrative of African exploitation by colonial and neo-colonial powers. Key aspects include breaking debt traps. With potential revenues exceeding $500 billion annually, Uganda could repay its $20 billion external debt and avoid IMF austerity measures, which often prioritize Western creditors over local development. Intra-African trade. The AFCFTA provides a framework for Uganda to trade gold with African nations, reducing dependence on Western markets. For example, Nigeria's interest in gold-backed currencies could lead to bilateral trade agreements. Black economic empowerment. The success of initiatives like South Africa's Sekonjalo, which has invested $10 billion across 40 African countries, highlights the potential for black-owned businesses to drive growth. Uganda could foster local entrepreneurs, establish a sovereign wealth fund to finance Ugandan startups in mining and related industries, mirroring Botswana's Pula Fund. Empower artisanal miners. Training programs and cooperatives could transform artisanal miners into stakeholders, reducing exploitation by foreign firms. Environmental and social challenges. For empowerment to be sustainable, Uganda must address environmental sustainability. Gold mining in Karamoja risks exacerbating drought and desertification. Adopting green technologies, like solar-powered refineries, could mitigate impacts. Community benefits. Revenue sharing models, such as allocating 10% of gold profits to Karamoja's communities, could address poverty. 65% of the region lives below $1.90 per day. Labor rights. Ensuring fair wages and safe conditions for miners, particularly women and youth, is critical to avoid replicating the exploitation seen in the DRC's cobalt mines. New global role for Africa. The discovery positions Uganda as a leader in Africa's emergence in a multipolar world, challenging stereotypes. By leveraging its gold wealth, Uganda can counter narratives of African dependency, showcasing self-reliance and innovation. Pan-African unity. Collaborating with AES and EAC nations could inspire a broader movement for African unity, as envisioned by leaders like Kwame Nkrumah. Global South leadership. Uganda's role in BRICS or G77 forums could amplify Africa's voice on issues like climate finance and trade equity. Conclusion. Uganda's $12 trillion gold discovery is a transformative opportunity to reshape its economy, elevate its global influence, and challenge Western dominance. By forging strategic alliances with African and non-Western partners, Uganda can drive economic sovereignty and black empowerment. However, success hinges on transparent governance, environmental stewardship, and inclusive development to avoid the resource curse. This discovery not only positions Uganda as a global player but also redefines Africa's narrative, from one of exploitation to one of resilience and self-determination.